Hello, hello. Welcome in. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Johnny Venerable. He is Bo Brack. Become a diehard. Go PHNX.com. Pick up a free hat and or t-shirt wherever you get your merch. Do it. Do it now. Breaking news. The Arizona Cardinals, Bo Brack signed left tackle, maybe right tackle, Jonah Williams of the Cincinnati Bengals. How we feeling?
Bittersweet, right? I mean, you got DJ Humphries spent 9 seasons with the Arizona Cardinals, like the brutal reality of the NFL. Like my co-host, he's pumped because we got moves. We've got action right now, and we've got kind of an idea of what the future of the Arizona Cardinals offensive line could look like. And they're going the route of a former first-rounder himself in Jonah Williams, according to multiple reports. What is it, a 2-year, $30 million deal with $19 million guaranteed, according to Adam Schefter, a guy with a lot of experience at the left tackle position, most recently playing the right tackle position. But regardless, a guy who's spent some time protecting a big-time asset already in Joe Burrow, and now he shifts his focus to Kyler Murray.
Dylan Richards in the chat saying Mike Garafalo saying Paris is going to left tackle. I love Mike. He does not know that definitively. I don't even think the Cardinals know that. I think the plan all along was to play Paris at right tackle. Jonah Williams, his best seasons came at left tackle. He only got kicked to the right side when they signed, that being the Bengals, Orlando Brown last year. I think that's a TBD. When I got tipped off, what was that, 2 or 3 weeks ago, right before we left for the Combine, the plan was to keep Paris on the right-hand side, draft a rookie, and then sign a big-name guard, and then the guard market exploded, and the Cardinals have pivoted. They have pivoted to signing a tackle. I think a starting left tackle. Is he perfect? No, but it gives you immense clarity on so many things. I don't think it takes them out of the tackle market in the draft, but certainly they ain't taking a tackle to sit in the top 10. They're not taking Joe Alt or Fuaga or whomever. They're taking Marvin Harrison Jr., 4th overall. This guy, Jonah Williams, first-round pick out of Alabama. I know that Cincinnati's O-line's been up and down. He also blocked for a statue in Joe Burrow. Just saying, I think I have immense confidence in this coaching staff to be able to prop him up and say, okay, can you just be what DJ Humphries was last year, the best version of DJ Humphries? You said that off air. I think that's a great comparison. DJ Humphries blew out his knee and cost himself almost $20 million. It's unfortunate. So the Cardinals had to pivot. I see people saying this is an overpay. No, he's a 25, 26-year-old tackle that was a first rounder that, by the way, and this is important, this is what this podcast emphasizes, has missed 1 game in 3 years. He missed his rookie year from a fluke injury, has come back and played solid football for the most part, up and down for 3 seasons in what I think is a brutal division, the AFC North. It's a good signing for the Cardinals, and kudos to Monty Austin-Ford, Bo, for pivoting off the guard market and saying, you know what, let's just go get one of the best, if not the best tackle on the market.
Yeah, the market at the guard position just took off. It was one that outpaced what the Arizona Cardinals were willing to spend, and we talked about like the strict criteria that I think Monty Austin-Ford and his front office were going to work within, and nothing as far as the guards, none of them fit that. But a guy like Jonah Williams, who, like the other guys that they've signed this offseason, mostly on the defensive side of the football, are 25, 26, 27 years old, and they're signing them to 2 to 3 year deals. And that's exactly what they've done with Jonah Williams. And it's going to be the heftiest price tag. But, you know, to your point, they don't really have to pay anybody the next 2 years that Jonah Williams is going to be under contract for the Cardinals. And yeah, the harsh reality, like the ugly side of this NFL rearing its head at DJ Humphries, somebody who spent so many solid years in this organization, the second, first round pick for Steve Keim at the time, the first and only first round pick to receive an extension after having the nickname knee deep, because Bruce Arians' coaching staff said they had to kick their foot that far up his ass just to get their message across. For him to come that far and to become a franchise, tackle is great. And it's just brutal timing as far as the injury. It's never good timing on that. But when you're making and you have a cap number, the second largest on the team, only behind Kyler Murray, no team is going to just wear that. And it's just, brutally unfortunate for Hump. And, he had an immense amount of respect within the Cardinals organization. Like Jonathan Gannon is on record of loving DJ Humphries and what he brings from a leadership standpoint, what he brings from just on the field standpoint, as far as how he can protect whoever may be under center for his team and move players around. And, it seemed like if you looked at earlier last season, things were trending towards DJ Humphries playing on as an Arizona Cardinal. And then on New Year's Eve, tears his ACL, has an MCL injury mixed in there. And it's just, that was it. That was the last game that we'll have witnessed with Hump in the fold. And now Jonah Williams is up next for this Cardinals team.
Do us a favor. You're jumping on this show for the first time, for the 100th time. Like this video, subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. This is your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Didi in the chat, alt to AZ. I think they need to find an alternative to alt. Get it? They're not taking Joe Alt. They're taking Marvin Harrison Jr. fourth overall.
The premier Cardinals podcast turned into open mic night.
Tons with Johnny and Bo. I know people are lukewarm on his production in Cincinnati, but I'm going to tell you right now, like, the Cardinals are overjoyed with this acquisition. This is not a panic move by the team. This is somebody Austin Ford got to see up close a number of times during his tenure in Tennessee and New England. This is a guy that started for a Super Bowl team. This is a guy that played a lot of football. Again, you're not starting street free agents at tackle. You can't afford to put Kyler Murray in jeopardy to basically trot him out there with a second-round pick out of, Bumblefuck State and say, hey, we're going to try to make the playoffs next year. No, you needed a veteran. You needed to get somebody that had starts on their belt. And this is a guy that's, deep playoff runs. And I think they can get a better version out of him. It had gotten uncomfortable for Jonah Williams in Cincinnati, per reports. Like, that's out there. He asked for a trade. He felt disrespected. And it's just like, okay, let's get him to somewhere in Arizona for a 2-year deal, some nice money. It's not a back-breaking contract. $19 million guaranteed. That's nothing. The Cardinals have money to burn. This is a safety blanket. Whereas if it doesn't work out this year, guess what? They can pivot. But they very much view like they have their 2 tackles, and now Paris Johnson Jr. is a baby in this league. He's 22 years old or whatever it is. And now you have your left or right tackle. I still think Jonah Williams is going to play left tackle. 26 years old. That's a good feeling if you're the Arizona Cardinals. How'd you like to be some of these teams that are signing Sam Darnold, number 1, to be their quarterback, and then going out there and dumpster diving for tackles, right? I think the Cardinals still will take a tackle. I think that's the smart move. I think if I'm Kelvin Beachum, maybe I'm a little bit concerned, but I think right now it gives you immense clarity. I also think this gives you clarity as it relates maybe to edge rusher, because I think right now the edge rusher market is kind of fallen by the wayside. They can still address it, maybe trade for a player, not in Philadelphia, but maybe it's more likely an edge rusher comes at pick 27 or 35 now, and a tackle maybe comes 3rd round, maybe a trade down in the 2nd. So it's just the Cardinals are loading up, I think, right now for a team that expects to be in the playoff hunt. That's a good feeling.
Jonah Williams, 2,800 snaps at left tackle in his career, 11th overall pick out of Alabama.
It's a best football
school. It's not Bumblefuck State, but
it's not.
I've heard it's a power. And then just over 1,000 reps and snaps at the right tackle position. This team is big. This organization in the Cardinals is big on continuity. And I think that they wanted the continuity where you had Paris Johnson Jr. As soon as he was drafted into the Cardinals organization, they might have said, hey, we're keeping our open mind as far as where he's going to play. But he started working out at right tackle, and he stayed at right tackle all the way through, playing each and every single snap of his rookie season at that position where you've got Jonah Williams. So it's like you're going to move Paris Johnson Jr. to left tackle, and then you're going to move Jonah Williams, where he kind of struggled last year for the Bengals in his first season at right tackle. I think I would be shocked if they switch Paris at this point. I would. And
everybody is speculating that they're moving him. So this show, we will be 100% definitive. The Cardinals do not even know what they're doing yet. Anybody who's putting that out there, they are speculating. This is a very fluid situation. Sorry, I interrupted you both.
No, it's all right. It's all right. I like when you address the camera and you're definitive and throwing around 4-letter words. But look, the Arizona Cardinals now, you look at their offensive line. I don't know if what does Jonah Williams and Elijah Wilkinson do for you?
I think Jonah Williams does a lot for you. I think you can say, well, listen, we're gonna bury the lead here.
It's better than any of the guards that were available. It's
No question.
Right.
No question. This is better than, with all due respect, Dalton Reisner. Right. If you weren't gonna go out and get Robert Hunt, who costs $100 million to play guard for you, or you're going to get Jonah Jackson, who misses games, that's indisputable, can't finish the season healthy. If you're not going to overpay for those guys, let's go get what many believe is the best tackle. There hasn't been a tackle that Tyron Smith hasn't signed anywhere yet. The best tackle on the market, right? So you go out and you say, we're going to just keep our options open. We're going to get the best tackle on the market, the guy with the most experience, who doesn't miss games, who's in his mid-20s, that we like. And now we can draft a guard. We can sign a guard. We can draft a tackle. Their options are open. It's good to have options. You don't want to paint yourself in a corner. So, it's like burying the lead of, they signed all those internal guys the team announced today, Wilkinson among many. We're going to talk about that. They cut DJ Humphries, and then they signed his replacement. Yeah. I mean, that's as simple as it gets.
I like this point from Andrew in the chat, and everybody's killing it in the chat, by the way. Love it.
Like this
Andrew Gaines jumping in here. Of course, Jonah Williams playing his starting his career in the AFC North. Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, all talented Ravens defense. I think it was the top defense in the league statistically for 6 games a year. I mean, that's a great point. I mean, it's still a gauntlet in the NFC West, and you don't get a hall pass for giving up 8 sacks. But I mean, you see this guy, and still, at 26 years old, at 6'5", 312, first round background, played big boy SEC football. I think Gannon, his coaching staff, they're pretty giddy to get their hands on a guy like this.
Yeah, I mean, I would also say, what's one of the biggest indictments that we say about Cincinnati is they are too Joe Burrow dependent. Mm-hmm. Joe Burrow throwing 40 to 50 times a game. And like basically a little bit like what Kyler Murray used to have to do with the Cardinals. I think Jonah Williams, who's a pretty solid run blocker, will relish the opportunity to say, we're going to run the football first and foremost here. Like, I think this is very comparable, and their contracts aren't the same to what Mike McGlinchey did in San Francisco, leaving for Denver. Very much a downhill blocker. He has flaws. If he didn't have flaws, he wouldn't be available. But by no means is it going to hamper you from doing what you want to do. Like, you start Tristan Colon at left tackle, that's going to hamper what you want to do. You get a guy who came from Alabama, a first-round pick, who's barely missed any time in 3 years, a consistent starter. Like, if the Bengals didn't think he was their best option, they would not have played him on teams that went deep into the postseason, Super Bowls, playoff aspirations every year. The Bengals would have made the playoffs last year had Joe Burrow not gotten hurt. So, again, I'm just putting it out there.
Well, that's a part of it too, right?
Right.
Jake Browning getting some snaps in there. And, I mean, both of them got rid of the football at a pretty decent clip. Like, Joe Burrow was getting rid of the ball in 2.5 seconds. And then, you had Browning getting rid of the ball in 2.75 seconds. So, but they pass a lot. They pass a ton. And, I'm not making excuses for the guy, but I think there's something to like about Jonah Williams. And if you look at it as, the production you got from Hump last year, I think Jonah Williams can come in and maybe, outproduce that this upcoming season for the Cardinals.
I think that's what they think. And it's like, I saw the Ravens traded away Morgan Moses because they want to take advantage of this tackle class. That's great, but you're not assured of anything. And here's what the Cardinals know. They could get the best tackle in the draft, but that would mean passing on Marvin Harrison Jr., which they're not going to do. We know that. This move alludes to that. Marvin at 4 is the play. The Cardinals know that. So then you're putting it in fate and the football god's hand to say, okay, at 27, we got to trade up for Mims or Guyton or whomever's available. That's dicey. That's just the uncertainty there. You can't play with the uncertainty of not having an experienced tackle ready to go for Kyler Murray. You just can't. It's a guy who's coming off an ACL tear, who's been prone to injuries in his career. You have to be able to say, nope, we're going to get somebody consistent starter, solid. They think he's very solid. They are excited about this move. Of course they are, right? So I just, at the end of the day, it's like everybody's speculating tackle, which side, is he a guard? No, he's playing tackle for them. I would assume that it's going to keep him at left tackle. That could change, of course. But this is a good day for Arizona Cardinal fans. You go out and you get the best tackle on the market. People are upset about that. I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, they'll look at Tyron Smith, and he's played, 4 games, and that's like he's played like 13 games over the last 2 seasons. He's 33 old. Years old. You got Trent Brown, who's also old. There just wasn't. And when you have a good tackle, and we've seen this with DJ Humphries himself, you hold on to him, right? So, and it's not to say Jonah Williams isn't without his own flaws, his own red flags.
Yeah.
I think you'd be hard pressed to say that he's lived up to all the hype surrounding an 11th overall pick. But I think that just the way that the market played out, and you had $100 million going into a guard, and all the funny money going to the guard position, and like you couldn't just sit back and watch any longer. You couldn't sit on your hands and say, okay, well, we'll turn to the draft, because like you said, Johnny, there's nothing that is going to happen unless you make the move at 4. And at 4, you're reaching and you're passing up a generational prospect. The guy that Trevor Sigma said might be the highest graded player in Marvin Harrison Jr. he's ever scouted before. And like, you're going to pass it up. It's like, because we need a tackle. It's like, well, no, you can find a bit of a stopgap. And then probably day 2, day 3-ish, go after the tackle position. I honestly think that this move is setting up 27, because you said like the edge market is tough. Like there's not much out there. Can you get somebody at that spot? Can you get somebody at the defensive tackle spot, defensive line spot?
Yeah,
27, and really start to continue to rebuild that defense.
35, whether it's 35 on the nose or they trade down, which I think is very much in play, interior offensive line. I think that moves their favorite interior offensive lineman, I feel like, is going to be in play at that spot. I feel pretty confident in saying, like, and I was hoping for this too, there's not going to be a deal with the Philadelphia Eagles. There's just not. And like the 2 players that we would like to see come here, Reddick returning, Josh Sweat, Cardinals aren't going to do that. So we can just put that out there. There's not going to be a trade with Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Eagles burned that bridge.
Those tampering tampers?
Yeah. They burned that bridge last year. Like, I have no insight on this. Like,
yeah,
I'd be interested to see, like, could you get Joey Bosa for pick 105? He's missed some time. He's 26. That's what I'm saying. Like, what could you just throw a pick at the Chargers and just say what? I have no source on that, but I just like, that's the kind of move that they're going to have to kick the can down the road. Might be a little bit at edge rusher. We don't know that. This was the move you had to make. We came on this show Monday and said, we have to get a guard. This guard mark's going to dry up. And what happened either this week or probably before, they have pivoted from this guard market is gross. And we tweeted that out. It's soup gross. We're not taking a tackle.
Right.
With overall. We can still take a tackle later. Jonah Williams is here for 2 years. We're going to get Marvin, and we're going to get a grown-up, like a proven player. I shouldn't say a grown-up. A proven commodity on the left side, probably, or right. And then we're going to take care of business in the draft. That's what they're doing.
And I think even before they're on the clock, 4th overall, on April 25th in the NFL draft, now what they've done is on the defensive line, they've raised the level of play. Not a ton, but like Justin Jones and Bilal Nichols are better than the guys they were running out there on the defensive line all last season.
Way better.
Right. And then I think you at least kept the status quo as far as what you had at the tackle position. I think for the entire season, like Calvin Beachum in that regular season finale played fine. So, that's really all you could ask for. And you added, a playmaker potentially in the linebacking core, and you got an outside corner. And this is all before you get into the NFL draft. So you had starting tackle, you had 2 starting defensive linemen, starting linebacker. I mean, Wilson probably could just be a non-base player, but he's a fringe starter.
I think he's going to play a lot.
And Murphy Bunting is your starting outside corner. I mean, you added 5 starters. That's in free agency, and you're an organization that doesn't really believe in building through free agency.
It's 3 days in, and they added 5 starters, and they signed the best tackle on the market, and people are like upset about. I know not our chat, but like
about.
Well, that's not what I wanted, so I'm going to be upset about it.
His PFF grade is mid. That's it. That's all we got.
He literally was the starting left tackle in back-to-back seasons where the Bengals were in the Super Bowl and would they go to the AFC they were in the AFC Championship game the next year. Not good enough. Not good enough for my Cardinals. It's like, bro, I'm old enough. Have you seen some of the tackles this team has trotted out once upon a time? Come on, Levi Brown, ring a bell? Times are tough. Like this, you're not locking him in. He didn't get the Robert Hunt deal. He's not signed for 6 years, $130 million. It's a 2-year deal, $19 million. This franchise once paid Sam Bradford $20 million to play 3 games. Like, come on now. We got to contextualize this a little bit here. For the people who want Marvin Harrison Jr., this is your day because that's what this signals. This is your day. God, I had to go to Twitter today when people are freaking out over Calvin Ridley not picking the Patriots. Oh, that's going to change everything. Come on. Let's live within the constructs of reality, folks. Calvin Ridley's 100 years old, had the biggest mid 1,000-yard receiving season, and because he didn't pick the Patriots aren't pivoting their 3rd overall pick from a quarterback or a trade down to Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, come on. It's a good day for This is a really good day. We don't have that many good days in 2 years when this team's won 8 games, Bo. It's a good day to be a Cardinal fan.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, Josina Anderson, are we getting into that later? Her tweet about the Patriots. Yeah, and it's so much stuff people into a frenzy, and they're tagging us and saying, "Oh no,
Calvin Ridley." Calvin Ridley, who legitimately I could not find one highlight of last year. Just trotted him out for a mid Jacksonville team. 55 yards, getting to 1,000. It's like, come on, guys. That's not. Elliott Wolf's not like, man, we got spurned by an old receiver. We better go Marvin Harrison Jr. at 3.
Well, what were the Patriots trying to accomplish by getting a guy like Calvin Ridley?
I think they know that, like, trying to set up a rookie QB for success.
Exactly. Yeah. They had a ton of money. It wasn't we're going to couple Calvin Ridley with Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jacoby Brissett's going to be a Pro Bowler or whoever they get in the 2nd round. I mean, that's not the plan. The plan has always been, the report's been out there. They're going to get a bridge guy. They're going to draft a guy. And, it's most likely going to be 3rd overall, or if they trade out and they accumulate assets for a team that is the worst roster in the NFL right now. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr., the analogy remains. You're getting a luxury sports car and you're putting it in front of your shanty. It's just, you got to work on your house. You got to work on your foundation. It's just, it ain't happening. But the Arizona Cardinals, they're focusing. You can see where the sole focus is right now. It's the trenches. It's raising the floor as far as talent on this roster. And I think you got to say that Monty Ossenfort's done a real good job so far in free agency. I mean, there's no sexy names. There's no Christian.
I think this is pretty sexy. If you would have told this show 2 weeks ago that they're signing Jonah Williams, we would have been fired up because of not only I think he's a good player, what it represents, like for Marvin. Like this is good news. Plus, they're trying to win games. They're not signing him to not win game. You would have just said, Beachum, get out there, do your best for a couple games. We're gonna kick in Kingsley from BYU or Mims. We'll just kind of see what happens. Like, no, that's the Keim way. Like this is the way of like we're gonna court a 26-year-old with options because he had options. They've kickstarted the tackle market, by the way. Like they've pivoted from guard at whatever point, and they have gone to a left tackle. And I'm fired up for Cardinal fans today. This is a good day. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying this, man. I know it's hard to appease everybody. This team's gonna try to make the playoffs next year with Kyler Murray at quarterback, and they needed to protect him, Bo.
Yeah, they did. I mean, they went 3-5 with Kyler Murray under center. Should have been 4-4, but Matt Prater, just a hero in this area because of what he did, the sacrifices he made by missing that 1 but 2 kicks to keep within Marvin Harrison Jr. range. He did that for us. And
I tell a funny story.
Yeah.
I went to the doctor's office this morning, and one of the doctors came in, asked me what I did, and that was the first thing he wanted to talk about.
Now, Prater missing those kicks?
Yeah, he goes, "How about those kicks, huh?" And I said, "Yeah,
We're
we're
like,
gonna throw a party,
thing
build
that's
him
ever
a
happened.
statue." And he was like, he started like cracking up laughing. He was like, "Yeah, let's build him a statue." I was like, "Yeah, Marvin Harrison, man."
Yeah, just coming in, smoking and joking in the doctor's office.
Pretty emotional moment between me and the doctor there.
You guys connected.
Yeah. Marvin brothers.
Hopefully no like hard news after that. Like you have high blood pressure. Like you need to eat vegetables and drink more water.
Said, I hope we get Marvin too. You have 3 months to live, actually.
Yeah, that's
Marvin's already bringing people together. It goes beyond football. Let's get to some of these super chats. You guys have been patient. We got 11. Hey, we got almost 800 people like this video. Give it a big fat like. This is your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. We prove it on days like today. Googsy, 279. Williams at OT. You're trying him at left guard. I think
never played a snap at guard. Never.
Right. And I think he's waiting to play tackle. He wants to play. He's good. He's a solid.
They're paying him tackle money. Don't look at what the Carolina Panthers are paying guys to play guard. They're paying tackle money. Yeah. It's a good question. Like
CG asking the same thing. Part of me hopes 499. They slide him to guard. I was sold on this tackle class. Well, you can definitely be disappointed. Like if you wanted one of these premier tackles, like I don't think this. You know what this does probably do? This probably opens the door on somebody like Jordan Morgan to be drafted like pick 35, and you play him at guard and you get him in practice and you say, well, shit, this guy can play tackle for us. And you keep an option. I think Jordan Morgan, it's like the Undertaker meme
in training camp. I can't wait till that.
The Undertaker
Johnny's
meme.
Going to be out there. He's like, I can't believe they're putting short T-Rex arms, Jordan Morgan at tackle. That's what you're going to do.
I think this opens. If you're Jordan Morgan, don't sell your condo in Scottsdale just yet. I have no idea. Or in Tucson or wherever. I think this opens the door to somebody like that. But who knows? But I get it. Like it's a great tackle class. And that doesn't mean they still aren't going to take one, but now you're not forced into that mindset. Oh.
No, that's great. It's you don't want to have to like have any real glaring needs going into the draft. That's like an old adage, I guess. Corey the Stew jumping in, $2 super chat. I like Williams. Are we done or is there more?
Are you asking me? Do you want to take a shot at this?
If they're done in free agency?
Yeah.
I mean, they'll still, like, they announced the 7 re-signings that they had today, and then you've got 8 with Dortch, and then you've got the 6 guys they've signed since free agency and the tampering window opened. So I mean, you still got rosters to fill, and you're going to add double-digit draft picks. I think they'll kind of pepper in a move here and there, and just kind of see maybe who's available next week and in these next couple of days as the market continues to settle.
Veteran corner, they'll add one. I don't know. Kenny Moore went back to Indy. They were in on him to some degree. Edge rusher is going to be a hot minute. But I think they'll add one at some point. Just competition. See what that market presents. See if somebody gets released. But I think they like this edge class too. I think it's very top heavy. So if you're going to get one, you got to get one earlier. But those are the 2 positions remaining. Corner depth, because you got to get another guy back there, whether it's another Antonio Hamilton type, just a veteran. Maddox from Philadelphia is still available. And then, probably get an edge rusher. But the edge rusher position, we'll see. We'll see what transpires. Philadelphia is not an option, though.
Yeah. Continuing on with these super chats. Thank you so much, Joel, with the $4.99 super chat. Great avatar as well. It's Johnny and his Monty bald cap. The Bengals O-line was bad as a whole. Williams his play struggled as a result. Same way DJ struggled with the bad left guard play. It's possible. Got a deep dive, watch some film, and really watch Williams at left tackle and right tackle, because like we've kind of been pounding, like we don't truly know where he's going to fit in with the Cardinals.
Are we allowed to just say like maybe the Bengals aren't well coached on their offensive line? Maybe their head coach is a byproduct of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Like, I think that's fair. I think the Cardinals overachieve with their offense. You think the Bengals offensive line develops Yelda Froholt last year? No, I don't think so. So while I'm not going to overvalue Jonah Williams, I have never thought the Bengals offensive coaching staff is any good. I think
don't
Lou
know
Anarumo,
who. I can't think of a player that they've drafted and developed on the offensive line. It's very similar to the Cardinals. Like
historically,
like Andre Smith was a bust. Williams struggled. He never like reached his 11th overall selection. Didn't they have somebody also that they used? I mean, it's probably one of the reasons they shied away from Penei Sewell. They didn't know what to do with it. So they just went and got themselves Jamar Chase.
It's a team that was overly reliant on 3 to 4 offensive players and then Lou Anarumo's defense. That's it. That's their team. I don't think their head coach is any good. Diego Perez. Johnny, is it true that JG gave you the nugget? Love the show. No,
Noogie.
That is not. I'm guessing that's what he means. Nugget or noogie?
Yeah, noogie. It's like where you take somebody and do that to the top of their head.
No, I thought he was
heard of a
asking if I was
noogie?
tipped off by John Gannon. I was not tipped off by John Gannon. No, nor did he give me a noogie.
He's just suggesting you guys pal around. Just a couple fellas being
roughhouse, couple roughhouse.
Yeah. Ryan jumping in with a $4.99 super chat. Trust his coaching staff to coach Jonah up too. That's a good feeling. Absolutely. Didn't exist here before Gannon and his staff got to town.
The best unit that was coached last year was their offensive line. They want guys that are talented that they feel like they can elevate. I don't know, like if this was Keim and Cliff, you'd be like, yeah, I'm a little skeptical. But like if it's the stamp of approval from this team, high character, I think it's going to be okay. I think it's going to be okay.
I think Keim would have gone after Tyron Smith.
Look at the Pro Bowls. Look at the resume. He's going to the Hall of Fame.
He doesn't practice every day of the week. We don't care. Diego Perez, another $2 super chat. Does this mean Graham Barton at pick 27? The Duke
100% in play. 100%. I think pick your favorite interior offensive lineman. They're in play.
I mean, just the idea that if you have a jersey, the coaching staff intends to utilize you on game day. So like the idea that they would take somebody in the first round and redshirt them potentially at the tackle position, like they would have to see some sort of game day value. I think, especially within these first 6 picks of this draft, is the top 100 guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you're not being drafted early if you're not playing. That's why the Cardinals aren't taking a tackle in the top 10 because he's not playing. The players aren't going to play.
Right.
And that's how the good teams do it. And you could say, well, that's not good team building. No, like if you take a player in the top 20 to 25 and you're not starting them, that's an indictment on you as a coach or you as an organization because you don't know how to scout players. Like go ahead.
No, I mean, the level of play at the college level is good enough to be a minor league system to feed into the league, and these guys should be NFL ready. Sure, like there's some learning pains, right? But at the same time, these guys develop quickly enough or are good enough to make an impact early on, especially first round players. Like the idea that you're going to draft a guy and then you're going to sit him and you're going to develop him, like that old romantic idea it's dead and gone. This is
what teams sell that now? Teams that can't develop like the Cardinals under Keim.
This is a cap league. The way that you take advantage of the cap is you draft guys that can make an impact early, and then you take advantage of them on paying them nothing, right? And if you can't do that, you're doing it wrong. You're a bad organization. Bad.
We're sitting Zaven Collins for his development. No, you're just bad at your job and you don't know what position he plays. Same with Isaiah Simmons. Same with Marco Wilson. Same with Byron Murphy and Zach Allen. You can't coach and develop young players, so you have to make up dumb excuses why they're not playing. You think Byron Murphy would have sat as a rookie? No. Under Jonathan Gannon, the 4th overall pick, 27, 35, they're all playing, and they're all hopefully going to be good players. Chris, 912, $5 super chat. Draft a tackle 27 or 35, and Williams can turn into our swing tackle. I think he'd probably have an issue with that. But listen, if the value's there,
swing tackle.
If the value's there to take a tackle, take one and figure it out. Like I don't have any issue in that. Like if you have a top 20 to 25 player that you love that falls to 35 at tackle, take him and maybe play him at guard or just figure it out. I don't want them to pass on good players.
I mean, Williams is going to come in immediately, and relative to the position, it's not a lot of money, but if you look at the Cardinals and who and what they're paying people, I mean, Jonah Williams is going to be top 3 highest paid player on this team outside of Kyler Murray and Budda Baker. Maybe Jalen Thompson is ahead of him. So he's not going to be a swing tackle. He's not going to be that guy.
No.
Michael jumping at $5 super chat.
Draft Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4, Troy Fautanu, Jackson Powers Johnson, Graham Barton at 27. Give Kyler the best O-line. If you're watching, hey, Dad, go Cards. Hey, Michael's dad. Nice, man. Love
Mr. McIntyre.
Yeah. Mr. McIntyre. Hope you're watching today. Thank you for that, Michael. I think that's a great plan.
Really good options. Yeah, I was watching JPJ at his pro day yesterday with Oregon and Bo Nix, and he's a guy that would fit the culture perfectly. He brings the juice. He's got a lot of energy, and he's just a great interior offensive lineman. He'd be a great potential guard early on, or the successor to Yelda Froholt. But like to both of our points here, I think 27 now becomes who's going to be a guy that can start on the offense or defense like day one. And is as good as it would be to draft and develop somebody and get their feet wet a little bit. But I think they want an impact player somewhere on the field right out of the gates.
They also have a guard situation right now where Will Hernandez isn't signed past this year.
Mm-hmm.
And you could always extend him, but their starting interior offensive line is not under contract in 2025. You think they're taking a guard or a center early? I do. I think it's going to come really early. Their 2 tackles are signed at least through 2025. They have no interior lineman of note signed through there. Deuce, $2. Screw PFF score. Use PHNX score. Love that. Go JV, go Bo, go Clayton Tune. We appreciate that, Deuce. We appreciate you. Michael
is the president of the Clayton Tune fan club.
Well, good week for Clayton Tune. As this show told you, they not interested in a backup. They got their backup in Clayton Tune. Michael Evans, $2 super chat. This is good. Simple, sweet. Go Cards, go. Yeah, it's a good day for Cardinal fans. Listen, you got better today. Like we were going to title the show initially before all this news. Like there's a report out today. Cardinals are like one of the most improved teams already through free agency ahead of the draft.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine it's going to go up. Like they are better today than they were yesterday, and they are better this week than they were last week. Like if you're a Cardinal fan, they're spending money. They're adding players to help their depth. They have a star-studded draft incoming in about 6 weeks. I mean, there's going to be a lot of good mojo at training camp with this team, Bo. You just know what there's going to be.
Yeah, and they did exactly what they needed to do at this time last year in order to make this possible, right? They cleaned up the mess from Keim, the previous regime. They got the salary cap in order, and they accumulated assets for this draft that's as talented as it's been in the last 5 to 8 years. So, they're in a position to really improve this roster that with Kyler Murray back was playing good football. And if they can get a defense that can get off the field and this offense continues to trend in the right direction, I mean, they're going to be in the mix in the NFC.
Yeah, they should be a playoff team. This should be a playoff team. By the way, Mac Wilson Sr., very active on Twitter, quote tweeting the rap sheet report about Jonah Williams, just commending Monty Austin for it and his fellow Bama teammate from college. So that's fun.
Mac Wilson's the lead on Twitter. Are we getting into that later too?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We got a lot to talk about today. Mr. Bennett, $1.99. Very good day for our fans. Let's go Cards. Just, keeping the mojo going, the good mojo with this team. Again, like, how would you like to be a Dallas Cowboy fan this week? You lost your defensive coordinator. He's purging all your defenders. You have to be saddled with your head coach, who can't stop losing in the playoffs. And then Dak Prescott wants more money, and they haven't made one single transaction.
What about like the Commanders too? It's like the opposite. It's like the Dallas Cowboys aren't doing anything, and the Commanders are signing every over the hill player. They've got like Austin Eckler. I know what they get, a couple guys in there that can still play, but would they have they take from Seattle, linebacker that they parted ways with again? Why am I Why can't I think of Bobby? What's his name? What's his last name?
Bobby Wagner.
Bobby Wagner.
Yeah.
Ever heard of him?
I know he's pretty good, isn't he?
He's okay.
But they Seattle's like, thanks, but no thanks, for the second time in his career. And the Commanders are like, come to Papa. And they've got Zach Ertz coupling back up with Cliff Kingsbury. I mean, those times are tough all around the league, but not in Arizona. I think that they've got a good plan.
Speculation on Twitter from some folks in New York is the Jets wanted Jonah Williams, pivoted to Morgan Moses. That was this morning. It does sound like that the Cardinals had been working, and this is exclusive to this show, on this deal for a minute. So it's not like they released DJ Humphries and they turned around and they signed Jonah Williams. So if you're to believe what folks in New York are saying, Jonah Williams potentially choosing the Cardinals over blocking for Aaron Rodgers and Robert Saleh, all the people that are going to lose their jobs this year in New York. Good stuff. Deuce, $2 super chat. I love how we're building this team up for Tune. I think Tune's going to have a nice preseason. I think that's going to be your time to shine, Deuce. St. Blurry, $9.99. This is a real team. Well, they have a real GM and they have a real head coach. And we both are all in on this quarterback. So yeah, you got the Holy Trinity, the trifecta. These you're just layering the cake with some icing right now, but it's going to be baked here come the NFL draft. I'm fired up, man. This team should be dramatically better.
Yeah, I like the kitchen analogy. It's great. It's got me hungry. Got me hungry for some burros. Should we get into some ads?
There's that transition.
We haven't even talked about our great friends at Some Burros. My wife and I had plans last night, and my father-in-law took my son to Some Burros last night. I missed out on the weekly Some Burros visit. I'm gonna have to make up for that. He had an elite Nino's quesadilla with beans and rice. He was just devouring it. They got meals for adults, just like Johnny and myself and all of you great people out there. Check them out, someburros.com.
Good meals for me.
Chimichangas. You got rolled tacos, folded tacos, all sorts of different great proteins. They're all around the valley. You got Flagstaff too. Newest locations in Goodyear, Peoria, North Phoenix. Visit someburros.com to find one near you. 20% off your order, up to $100 if you use the code PHNX at checkout for the whole month of March. Available in restaurant, drive-through, and when you order online. Now available on third-party. It's not available on third-party delivery. But yeah, drive-through. You can also, that doesn't take you out of the running. Get some great margaritas. You can get those to go at Some Burros. It's what makes them great. One of the parts.
Yeah, perfect combination is I'm going to sit and I'm going to watch the Phoenix Suns play the Boston Celtics with some burros, some takeout, and I'm going to get on BetMGM and I'm going to win some money. And you can too. Bet 5, get 150 instantly with our friends at BetMGM. I would imagine if there are odds where Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to go, I think those odds are going to get taken off of BetMGM and other betting sites sooner rather than later. It's just a hunch from your boy. But in the meantime, plenty to dabble on with BetMGM. Bet 5, get 150. Of course, with that bonus code, Bo, PHNX. All you got to do, download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on your iOS or Android device. Check them out at BetMGM.com. Sign up, deposit at least $5 in your newly created account. Once you've placed your bet, you're going to receive $150 in bonus bets, regardless of the outcome of your wager. Set it and forget it. Go spend your money, your bonus bets, how you wish, but you got to do it with BetMGM, and you got to tell them PHNX Cardinals sent you. Check out the show notes for full details. Now listen to our guy, Damon Dog. Not talk to his doctor, but talk to us about the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus only. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-UP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117. For confidential help, Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. See BetMGM.com for terms. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., Mississippi, New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico.
We're seeing these. There's been a couple deals that have been going down. Sheldon Rankings and the Bengals are closing in on contract. You see Joe Flacco, where he land? The Colts.
Yeah.
You got Eric Kendricks. The Cowboys are on the board. How about the Cowboys? They signed Eric Kendricks, former linebacker.
Oh, cute.
There you go, Jerry.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's about it. Outside of the stuff just kind of coming that we knew about
Who's this right here?
I'm
Are you
on
into
board.
this?
Is
How about
that
this
Jonah
big man?
Williams?
That looks like it could be Yelda Frohold's cousin, Jonah Williams, in the lab back in February. This is the
You
description.
Insta-stalking him?
Yeah, I am now. Inhale, exhale. Animals eat animals. How about that?
That's a
Etc.
menacing caption.
He's
He's gonna
mountain
fit
of a
right
man.
in.
Oh yeah, his description: Dad, NFL OT. Just he's the new daddy of the Cardinals, new daddy of the offensive line.
Left tackle daddy.
Yeah, that's right. Paris isn't a dad yet, and we got some younger guys. He's going to play next to a rookie. It's daddy's come home on the offensive line. Love it. Love it. I think Cardinals needed to get bigger and more physical, and they have done that. They signed 2 starting defensive tackles, a linebacker, a physical corner who's great in run defense, and a starting tackle who's should be in the peak of their prime. Here are the free agency arrivals for those of you who've been living under a rock for 4 days. Sean Murphy-Bunting, CB2, maybe CB1. Bilal Nichols, Justin Jones are starting, especially Justin Jones, who I think is going to reach 5 to 6 sacks per season with Jonathan Gannon. Mac Wilson, who we think probably, Bo, based on his contract, is going to start next to Kazir White. He's going to have to hold off Chris Barnes if he wants to do so. DJ Dallas starting on special teams, potential starting kick returner, punt returner, and of course, the biggest signing of free agency for the Arizona Cardinals, left tackle, right tackle, Jonah Williams on a 2-year, $30 million deal, $19 million guaranteed, Super Bowl runner-up, a ton of starts, 1 missed start in 3 seasons for Jonah Williams. He's going to fit right in with a group that, frankly, doesn't miss games. It's only left tackle and left guard that has missed games in Humphries and Elijah Wilkins. So, I mean, you get a rookie that can come in there and play 15, 16 starts. Suddenly, that's a unit that should get better as the season progresses.
Yeah, it certainly should. And we saw, Elijah Wilkinson, who announced on his Instagram page before it became official today that he had re-signed with the team. And you saw on the screen behind him, they had misspelled his name. But that's not. It's just minor details. Getting the guys it said Wilkinson, but he re-signs. And it's not going to break the bank by any means. And you look at Wilkinson after he came back from his neck injury that landed him on the IR. He played pretty solid in 3 of the 4 games. Now, the regular season finale, he did not play well. He gave up 4 pressures. He was penalized once. But the previous 3 games to that, he just given up a pressure in each game and had not been penalized at all. He played his best football during that stretch. So you're hoping more so that as he kind of acclimated more into pet singing offense and, playing next to DJ Humphries for the most part. Maybe it was just a DJ was there, and that left tackle position is so important.
He's a backup, and he probably is going to be a backup this year, and that's fine. You want him on your roster to be a backup, and I think let him go and compete with a Graham Barton or a Jackson Powers Johnson in training camp. Let him lose that battle and be a backup to either Will Hernandez. And I mean, like Tristan Colon played games for you last year. Wilkinson, obviously, those guys are playing into your offensive line in August in the preseason, not starting games for you. Like that's the best case scenario. Same with Kelvin Beachum. But the Cardinals are done. It's over for where they're taking fringe guys and making them starters and hoping for the best for six months of the regular season. Keim did that, and the Cardinals, they feel like privately, and this is what this show's been telling you for the entire offseason. The Cardinals saw the offensive line that we all assumed, hey, nice job, that unit's set. The Cardinals said, no, it's not set. We need to get better. We need to get more physical. We're going to add depth. We're still going to draft a couple linemen. So it's a pipeline. It's a draft and develop mentality. And then when you have to go out and you got to add pieces in free agency, like a Jonah Williams, you do that. But Wilkinson's fine. I mean, if he plays like he did at the end of last year, he'll force his way into the lineup. But they're going to go with a guy that has a higher upside, and that player is going to come in April.
Yeah, and if they do that, then you've got 3 pieces of your offensive line, controllable beyond this upcoming season.
Yes.
One of your points from earlier, and then you start to you see what you have with Jonathan Gaines, like the idea that we talked about this yesterday, like that they would rely on Jonathan Gaines, or they would move forward as if Jonathan Gaines, a guy who they liked as a 4th round pick out of UCLA, a versatile offensive lineman, played all 3 positions on the O-line. But he was a guy that tore his ACL, and they still had a lot to find out about the player. And you didn't learn anything throughout the season because he wasn't available. And now you move forward kind of in a similar spot that you were at the end of training camp. So Jonathan Gaines, they'll move forward with. But now with Jonah Williams under contract, it puts you in a lot better spot for the near future of the offensive line.
It absolutely does. And it gives you clarity on Sundays of who that front five is going to be. And that's everything. Let's get back to some of these super chats here. Patrick T, MHJ equals primetime games. I miss primetime games. I would love for the Cardinals to play primetime games and win them. It's just very rare that that's happened, but They haven't had one under JG. Maybe he can start a new trend of winning on primetime.
And I'm trying to I mean, you get Kyler back, you get MHJ in the fold. You've got raised expectations. They might get a Thursday night football game. It's possible.
They'll get a couple primetime games. They'll get
a couple.
Yeah.
If I set the over under at 1.5, you're taking the over?
I would take the over. Yeah. Because I think people like watching Kyler Murray. I think the league thought Kyler wasn't playing last year. The media was driving that narrative. So what are they going to do? Put Colt McCoy on primetime? No, they knew better than that.
Yeah. Let's see. Topic 64 chiming in here. Thanks, Topic 64, big time friend of the program, $9.99. So happy for this team. We're going to win some games this year. I don't understand how people could be irritated by moves we're making. Makes no sense. I agree.
I think people are just upset to be upset sometimes, and you have every right to feel how you want to, Bo, as a fan. But Jonah Williams was the top tackle available in the market, and he's not old, and he plays all the games he plays. Of course he does, Johnny. But yeah, he's healthy. He doesn't miss games. By the way, anybody seen Hollywood Brown lately?
He was on Twitch last night playing with Paris Johnson Jr., saying he was going to hit up his boy Creed Humphrey they played college ball with at Oklahoma, about what's going on in KC, but haven't seen anything. I mean, I figure with Calvin Ridley signing like he did today, you got to think that Marquise Hollywood Brown's his deal is going to come soon.
Yeah, I hope for him it does. The point I was trying to make is just like all the guys they've signed are guys that play 17 games. Hollywood Brown doesn't do that. Deuce $5. He's back. Will BG gift 18 to MHJ, BJ Ojolari, or will they have a steel cage match for us? If Marvin Harrison Jr. loses, what number will he pick? Or if BJ loses, what's his? I kind of want Marvin to go with a single digit, maybe like a number 9 or something. I think that'd be
the history of number 9 for the Cardinals has not been kind the last couple of years.
I think he could take care of that for us.
Dobbs, Isaiah Simmons, it's Sam Bradford. I'd rather see I'd see Hollywood's not going to be back potentially, more than likely. Two look great.
81 would be cool too. Hey, let me ask you this, and people are going to immediately push back on this. What do they do in Dallas when they get a great receiver?
Give him the 88. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Would you be opposed to him wearing 11?
Yeah, I would. And here's why, right? I think.
See, people are saying it in the chat. I know. I don't hate it.
But think about this, everybody. Marvin Harrison Jr., his dad's a Hall of Fame football player. He played a lot of big downs in Indianapolis. What was his number?
88.
88. And then Marvin Harrison Jr. wear 88 in college, and he's got a legacy to carry on there. What's he going to – why does he want to – he wants to create his own legacy. And I like that about Marvin Harrison Jr.
I just think I don't hate the idea of just saying we have great receivers here and they wear 11 and that's the expectations that we have. But you can pick whatever.
Fitz played 17 years. He deserves that nobody ever wears 11 again.
I don't agree with that. That's a popular take. It's not my take though. I think it's unlike. I think you can make a point to have a statue for a player, greatest of all time, put his name up in the rafters, Hall of Fame. But I think numbers should be able to be passed on. But I'm in the minority with that, and that's fine. That's fine.
Take.
Okay, bro. All right, bro.
It's wrong.
Give 11 to Marvin, and Marvin will put together a Hall of Fame career.
When we look at these 6 acquisitions post, I guess during legal tampering, and now as the new league year has begun. By the way, Happy New Year to you, Johnny, and everybody out there. Who do you like the most out of this haul? These 6 players. Let's take a look at it again. I want to take I want to get Damon's thoughts on this too.
Yeah, Damon, tell us who you like the most.
Oh, you're just gonna put him on the spot.
I like the Murphy Bunting move a lot. I think that's a good price for a starting cornerback, especially one that I think could be like a positive player rather than just an average guy. And then I think that Mac Wilson deal could be pretty solid as well. Those are my 2.
Johnny?
I think the Jonah Williams move is my favorite because of what it represents at pick 4, which we already knew. And I think I like the idea of taking a shot at a guy who was a first-round pick, who plays a lot of games, who has upside. And I like what this team did with guys with upside, the offensive line last year.
Yeah.
So 1B to that is Justin Jones. I think Justin Jones is going to absolutely eat with Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rallis. And I think, again, that he's a good player in Chicago. He's not analytic darling. Not a lot of these guys are. But I trust this team with line of scrimmage players because they pushed around Philadelphia and Pittsburgh last year with practice squad guys. So if they have highlighted guys with first-round caliber talent as heir apparents, that gets me fired up as to what they could do.
I agree with Grinzone for 8-0. Michael, who else is jumping here? Austin. I think that Mac Wilson is immediately turning himself into a fan favorite. We touched a little bit on his Twitter exploits, but also just his skill set, his ability to cover, and his ability to rush. Rudy, Mac Wilson, solely based on his Twitter activity. I think, just the way he's embracing his new organization. Also hear that Mac Wilson had offers to stay in New England, and he chose to come here to the desert. Another one of those guys that wants to be here. I really like Mac Wilson. I think it's we're getting away from when looking at the off-ball linebackers of this team and feeling uneasy about them because the expectations were so high because there's so much invested in them, especially in first-round picks. Now I think you're getting guys in like Kazir White last year where Mac Wilson can team up with them and show off his really unique skill set. So I like Wilson, but I also like Damon's pick of Sean Murphy Bunting too.
Doesn't like either one of my picks. Noted.
No, I do.
Noted. Nah. That means I'm not sharing my game time tickets with you that I got almost for free because I got $20 off with my first purchase. Bonus code PHNX. If you haven't heard of Game Time, folks, where have you been? The best place to get your last minute ticket deals at the lowest price, guaranteed. It's I think here in Arizona, this is a perfect time for concert season, stand-up comic season, getting out with your spouse, with your significant other, having a good time. It's not football season anymore, so what can we pivot to? Well, spring training baseball is running rampant. We've got, of course, Phoenix Suns going nuts. You still can catch the the Coyotes. But anything you want to do, live venues for tickets, it's Game Time. Right now, you're going to get $20 off your first purchase with the bonus code PHNX. All you got to do, download the Game Time app, create an account, and use that bonus code PHNX. You're going to get $20 off. It could cover your entire ticket, and you're good to go. And on top of tickets, they got parking passes, they got flash deals, they got bundles. Whatever you want to do, just go dabble. I sit on Game Time hours on end. I'm just like, this is a good deal. I'm just going to snag this. Terms and conditions apply. Again, create an account, redeem it, PHNX, download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
We're going to get into why, it seems more and more apparent that Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be selected 4th overall on April 25th by the Arizona Cardinals. But where are you going to be for that moment? What are you doing April 25th at Thursday night? That's going to be a pivotal moment, turning point, some would say, in the Arizona Cardinals franchise. Hang with us. That's right. The Gila River Resorts and Casinos draft party, the PHNX Cardinals draft party. Come out to Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Of course, they take the next level to an even higher level, if that's possible. No one does it better. They often offer an authentic and immersive experience at an unprecedented level of entertainment and excitement you're not going to find anywhere else, even in Vegas. Like, they do Vegas better than Vegas does Vegas, and it's right here in our backyard. So many different locations around the valley. We're going to be at the Wild Horse Pass location. They got dining that ranges from upscale to just approachable rooftop restaurant. You got Prime at Shula Steakhouse. Grab a cocktail, hang out by the pool, achieve legendary status. You do you at Gila Resorts Gila River Resorts and Casino, and sign up. Get your tickets now. Don't wait any longer. You're not going to get them at a better price. Tickets to our draft party April 25th at the Wild Horse Pass location.
It's going to be absolutely electric. The vibes will be immaculate. We're going to be live the entirety of the first round. We're going to be live the entirety of rounds 2 and 3. And of course, having a recap on day 3. This is your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast for a reason. And you alluded to it. I'm going to tell you right now, food and drink also provided at this draft party. Just got word down. So you get your tickets for the draft party. Like, hey, you're set. Food, drink, taken care of. Gila River, by the way, immaculate nachos. Supremely elite nachos. And I'm a nacho connoisseur. Wings are very good as well. So Gila River Resorts and Casino, come for the draft party, stay for the food, and of course, stay for Marvin Harrison Jr. Bo. And again, there was a report today from Josina Anderson, and basically once the Patriots missed out on Calvin Ridley, who's 100 years old, that everybody on Twitter was all in a flurry that, hey, you know what? This is what Josina Anderson said. Patriots will mainly turn their attention to the draft to address wide receiver. I'm told they've moved on. Remember, splashes come in the win-loss column. Did you know that you can take a receiver outside of the top 5 and still have that player make an impact?
No,
but when you don't have a quarterback or any other players, you probably want to turn your attention to other things, and that's what the Patriots are going to do.
I mean, it doesn't exclude the 3rd overall pick, but the draft also they've got a lot of high picks throughout this wide receiver rich draft class. So it doesn't automatically mean, hey, they're going to take the top wide receiver in this draft to fix where they weren't able to help themselves out in free agency as they whiffed on a guy like Calvin Ridley and some of the other players that they might have struck out on. I mean, there's this wide receiver class. I mean, you saw on display during Georgia's pro day, Ladd McConkey just continues to put on a pre-draft show. Yeah, one of Damon's guys. You've got Xavier Legette yesterday at South Carolina's pro day, where he's just putting it on a show on the field and off the field. I swear he's making a voice. He did not sound like that. Yeah, he sounds like
I thought
like
the same thing.
Like,
we talked to him in Mobile, and he did not have a South Carolina country accent.
Have you heard him? Have you heard Xavier?
I have not. Speak? I'm intrigued now to hear him.
He talks like this.
Literally.
Who's this?
He's just like, I went out there and I was trying to run as hard as I could, and it was a hard Southern drawl.
He talks like he hangs out on like his porch and like plays the banjo.
Yeah, he whittles, and he's got a dog that's sitting next to him, and he likes homemade lemonade and apple pies,
rocking chair.
Yeah, I mean it was pretty jarring to hear him talk. Because I stood from me to Damon. He was at his podium holding court in 2 different spots, and I never once heard him talk like that. I think he was putting on a little character.
I guess it's line season. Maybe he's trying to get drafted by somebody and trying not to get drafted by somebody else. I don't know. That's pretty wild. So yeah, I mean the general consensus is the Patriots are taking a quarterback 3, and today doesn't change that. They re-signed Kendrick Bourne and gave him a bunch of money. They can still go out and sign a free agent. They can draft. They can trade for a receiver.
34. They can take a receiver. They could take Ladd McConkey. They can take Xavier Legette. They could take Adonai Mitchell. Whoever might be available still at that spot.
The Patriots, there's more talk about 4 quarterbacks going 1, 2, 3, 4 than there is the Patriots not taking a quarterback. So it just shows you, I think, sometimes the gap between what folks in a certain market, a la New England, or the media try to run with, and what's really happening within the league. And the Patriots and Elliott Wolf are not taking a receiver 3rd overall. The Cardinals are in a unique position where the roster is more fortified. They have more picks. Oh, and they have Kyler Murray. If they didn't have Kyler Murray, guess what? They'd be looking at J.J. McCarthy. They'd be in the mix for one of these guys. But they don't have to do that, thankfully. They have a franchise left tackle. They took him last year. Yeah. Their roster, they have Michael Wilson. Michael Wilson would be the best receiver on the New England Patriots. Trey McBride would be the best overall offensive player on the Patriots. The Cardinals have taken their medicine. They can afford to say, we're going to splurge, albeit on a premium position at wide receiver. The Patriots it's ground zero. You're drafting Jacoby Brissett. You're signing Jacoby Brissett to carry the water for you this year, to be a good soldier, to try not to embarrass the franchise over like 17 games, you're not taking a receiver. You're going to take a quarterback to sit behind him, or you're trading down with a team like Minnesota who is ready to support a rookie, and you're trying to grab as many picks as you can. Like, I still think there's a decent chance somebody comes up to 3. So if people need to wait until that emergency podcast to basically declare Marvin Harrison Jr. a Cardinal, that's fine. You guys do not need to sweat this out. I think the big talking point now is going to be for people who are uneducated. When the Cardinals do trade down, or when they don't get Marvin, what position do they pivot to in these mock drafts? They're not taking Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze. So in any scenario, the 1% chance if they did trade down, maybe like a Dallas Turner, maybe an outside linebacker, they want premier line of scrimmage players if it's not Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, that certainly does add a different wrinkle to that. Animal TV saying no way Patriots take a wide receiver, but why not trade down? No, I mean, I think trade down absolutely is in the cards, but they're weighing, their options. I mean, it's Monty Ossenfort wasn't in the position where it was trade down or take one of the top quarterbacks last year. He has franchise quarterback. He felt very, I think, like Jonathan Gannon said, that Kyler Murray's the guy, right? So he didn't have that need to do it, where I think the Patriots do. So they've just got to weigh whether they want Drake May or Jaden Daniels or J.J. McCarthy, whoever they've scouted as the best prospect, or they're going to look at the trade down packages. But if they trade down, you're trading down potentially out of striking distance for a quarterback in the first round. And I think the way that Elliott Wolf and how his dad navigated in Green Bay for a long time was they emphasize and they understand the value of quarterback. And I think that they're going to try to identify that guy with the 3rd overall pick, because that's where they are.
They're going to take an interior offensive lineman right after. They're going to take a quarterback, they're going to take a receiver, that being the Cardinals, and then they're going to take an interior offensive lineman or a pass rusher, and then they're going to flip it. It's just starting to connect the puzzle pieces here. They want to be a line of scrimmage team, and the Patriots are not in a position to say, okay, we're going to be able just to take the best player in this draft because he plays at receiver. Like, if the best player in this draft was an edge rusher, he might be going to New England at 3. Or if Penei Sewell's in this draft, they might consider it. But a receiver, as much as we love Hall of Fame receivers in this town, we've also seen one that was a victim of poor coaching, quarterback play, and offensive play in Larry Fitzgerald. Like, Larry Fitzgerald, a lot of his peak years were wasted until Bruce Arians came here. And that is very much a reality if Marvin Harrison Jr. ever made it to New England. They're just not ready. It's not ready, Bo.
Joel hitting us with a $4.99 super chat directed at Johnny. Johnny, have you heard anything about Greg Newsome? Saw the Browns are shopping him.
I did. I did. Bo can attest to this. Maybe some people in our Discord. I think I put it in our Discord like a month ago that they liked Greg Newsome. So somebody can screenshot that, because that's the quality of our Discord here at PHNX Cardinals.
No,
get this before anybody else.
It's exclusive.
Yeah, sorry, don't do that. But we put that out there on our Discord. They love Greg Newsome. And if he ever became available, I think that they would have interest. But again, I mean, you probably have to give up pick 35, and I don't know if they want to do that at this time. If you could get him for a couple thirds, I think you very much consider that. But he's a really good player. If you're the Browns, I think you want equal value what you got him, and that's a first-round pick. And the Cardinals aren't trading 27 for Greg Newsome, so I definitely think they have interest. But I don't know if it's just like we talked about with Brian Burns, Bo. It's like their pick is too damn high in the 2nd round. Like, you can't surrender pick 35 for some of these guys. But I do think, like, future years, it's going to be very much in play. But just right now, that's tough. The puzzle pieces aren't connecting.
Yeah, Deuce $2 super chat. If Monty cooked JV a steak, would he eat all of it? Johnny in Indianapolis at the scouting combine, for those who don't know, he ordered a 14-ounce steak at a pretty expensive steakhouse, and he chopped it up like he's chopping it up for his young son, and he proceeded to eat about just over 50% of it.
Careful. I ate at least 8 ounces of the 14 ounces.
You ate how much?
8 ounces of the 14.
So just over half.
A lot of it, though.
I'm glad that you're telling the truth about it now.
A lot of
we
it.
did come back
listen,
way down from 90% or 80%.
a lot. Well, everybody else at the table ordered like 8, 10 ounce tanks. I should have done that in hindsight. I made a mistake there. I will say a lot of what was remaining was fatty pieces that I just didn't want to eat.
Let me tell you that just as it was your third time to the steakhouse.
Yep.
You know that you get the shrimp cocktail.
Who made the reservation?
You're boozing. That doesn't mean anything.
That we got in.
Thank you for making
that's forgotten that somebody made a reservation weeks in advance.
Shrimp cocktail. You get bread, which is elite there, and you're hitting me because I decided to get the 8-ounce fillet, and you're the ones like, I'll take. And I
had
14
lobster
ounces.
bisque too. I had on top of it another appetizer.
Yeah.
Listen, I told you I made a mistake. I ordered too big of a steak.
I'm not a big guy. I got the 14-ounce ribeye. I finished it off.
You did do that.
Did he?
Yeah, I did.
You know what it was?
All eyes were on you. I honestly don't. I couldn't tell you. I
was in a battle with my steak for about an hour 15, but we won at the end of the day.
I was shotgunning pastries in the media room at the convention center earlier in the day, and that is what set me up for failure. Purple X Goes $5 super chat. This is my first year getting season tickets with my little brother.
Nice.
Each move the Cardinals have made has me more excited each time. That's what we want to see. Purple Ghost, get those opposing fans out of our stadium. But here's the thing. I think that your comment speaks to the Cardinal fan base as a greater whole. You should have to earn back trust of people who are skeptical to put their money down to watch a good product versus a team that can't win at home. So I listen. The sacrifice, not the sacrifice, the investments financially that they've made after there was reports from people. There were reports this week that they weren't going to spend money, and then that Austin Ford had a cap compared to other teams, which is laughable. No, they had money to spend. They spent it. They're getting better. They're going to add star power in the draft. Get fired up. I can't wait to watch this team. I can't wait to watch this team in person.
No, you want to see what they can do, what they can parlay the end of last year into. And of course, this revamped culture that, here on a bittersweet day where they make a signing at tackle, but then they release DJ Humphries, a guy that called it a culture shock.
Yeah.
And that was all in on what Jonathan Gannon was cooking up there between the walls of the facility in Tempe. Saul Bookman, our GM, he's so embarrassed. Johnny's performance in Indy. I mean, you did redeem yourself by landing us a one-on-one with the head coach of the Cardinals.
Nobody talks about that, though. Topic 64, $9.99. Well, I've been seeing Bobby Price's name. I don't think it's about special teams. I think they like the height. Any info, Bo or JV? Lastly, NE better focus on QB play. They will. We talked about that. But, Bo, you were on Bobby Price a lot this year.
Yeah, Bobby Price was. Yeah, he's primarily a special temer. I think he had like a high ankle sprain that landed him on the IR, but he's one of those guys that they brought in and they kept around the organization as long as they possibly could, and kind of they promoted him to the active roster before the injury, and then they kept him on afterwards. And yeah, he's got good size. And I think they like his athleticism. And it's one of those guys that if he continues on with Jonathan Gannon's process and develops, he could probably make his way into, getting some defensive snaps. And that's one of those things that we might be overlooking is some of the young players that they brought in that you didn't hear a whole lot from last year, what, they could potentially do, what they could develop into this upcoming season, because they're expecting jumps from guys, higher profile names like Zaven Collins on the defensive side of the football and Michael Wilson on the offensive side of the football. But I think that there are guys like Topic 64 points out, like Bobby Price is out there, maybe Owen Papo, that, they expect to take a jump. And then if they don't, I'm sure that they'll probably quickly move off. And that's not like a threat or anything. I think it's just they like what they've seen so far. And now the expectation is to push the envelope for playing time.
I think the Keim guys that made it through that last year, I think those are the guys that are in the most trouble. Like, again, I come on this podcast every year and talk about Dennis Gardeck's roster security, but like those Victor Dumakagis of the world, like those, I would not feel good if I were those players, because like they got you through a season.
Yeah.
How much impact did you get? And they're upgrading.
XFL, buddy.
Terrible. The 90s Poppy, $1.99. How much cap space now after we have our pickups? I know that they're doing a lot of their bigger hits next year. So cap space is not an issue. And they're going to roll some over. They got to sign the rookie class. They're getting some money back from DJ Humphries. Let me ask you this, because I saw this and I thought this was inaccurate. I saw somebody say that they're taking an $18 million dead cap hit from DJ Humphries. Can you confirm that? Because I thought there was an out where you basically like you paid him an injury settlement, and then like that the dead money would be minimal. Is that not correct?
No, that's not correct. Like the injury settlement complicated things a little bit. Looks like they're taking a $13 million dead cap hit on but that's $13 million in dead money, but they still are going to net, I think, close to $9 million, maybe $8 or $9 million from releasing DJ Humphries.
I got this from Jess Root. Just sent me a text. DJ Humphries is eligible for workers' comp, and Cards are going to take care of his rehab, which is nice of the Cardinals to do that. But the Cardinals had the 5th most cap space to spend this offseason. Like, I think nothing that they did is they're going to break the bank on.
No, I think going into today, because of how the first year they're not taking on a ton of salary from a lot of these guys. Like, I was looking at contracts, like Murphy Bunting's making just under $6 million as far as this year goes. Bilal Nichols, $5 million. Justin Jones, $6.5 million. They're not breaking the bank, and as far as like effective cap space, they had well over $30 million before the release of DJ Humphries, and then the addition of Jonah Williams will kind of cut into that, but they still got more than enough to continue to tweak the roster, but also they've got to pay their draft class.
And a lot of the guys that they're paying this year, like we talked about it, like Buddha and James Conner, some of their biggest salaries on their team. I mean, I think we're both very skeptical that they're going to be on the team after next year. And that's going to, I mean, Buddha and James alone does free up on over the cap. It's not like talking about cutting them. If you go to over the cap, like all you got to look at is 2025. Their financial commitments are still very minimal. And that's what matters, right? You don't want to saddle yourself 25, 26, 27 with a bunch of big cap hits. That's not the reality. Most of the cap hits are still going to be for 2024, like the volume of cap hits. So, and then I see somebody in the chat saying, like, does Cameron Thomas get cut? Like, those are, you chip away at some of these Keim guys, you don't know the status of, like that will add up over time too. And you need roster spots. So they need money to be able to sign corner depth, the draft class, and an edge rusher at some point. I would still love, and I don't think they're going to do this, I would still add another defensive tackle. I doubt they will. I think they've got 3 guys that they like, and they're going to draft somebody.
On from Ledbetter.
Well, yeah, we didn't even talk about that. Yeah. John Ledbetter didn't get a tag offer or a restricted offer. Why do you think that is?
I think it just one, he was injured a couple times last year. I mean, he still was in the mix for one of their more important defensive linemen, but he was a holdover. And then when it goes into what Monty Ossenfort, what he answered to me with my question is like with Greg Dortch and then Ledbetter, who was in a similar situation as far as, Dortch was an exclusive rights guy, Ledbetter and how he was going to impact their cap and what he was looking for and what he was commanding. And I just don't think they wanted to pick him up at that price. So, and his was going to be a little bit more money than Dortch was going to cost. So it just seems like it wasn't a fit going forward. And I think they like, Jonathan Gannon's probably going to say, I like our room. He's got big, I like our room vibes now with the addition of Nichols and Justin Jones and returning LJ Collier and then Dante Stills and Roy Lopez. So you got some big beefy bodies there on the defensive line.
Steven saying Gambo is saying that it's a post-June designation for Humphries, frees up more money than dead money, almost 16 million in cap space, and then 7 million in dead money in 2024. Good. I mean, they're not hurting for cap, and I think they got better at left tackle today than they were last year, and so that, I mean, it's a better team than they were to start this week. And for those that were waiting for a notable name, you got it today at the start of the league new year.
Well, yeah.
I still think like they had an edge rusher. I think there's a good chance it's going to be somebody via a trade or one of these guys that you get later, in free agency that's waiting out the process. I don't think it's going to be like a Chase Young, but I think they would be best served at that position to go get a guy that's older, that can come in and be a John Abraham type, that can come in and get you some sacks, that doesn't have to play 80, 90% of the time. You let BJ and Zaven produce, you get a draft pick in there. You just need somebody that can come in and throw 90 miles an hour for an inning or two. Like that's what they need. Don't look at me like that.
Lit up. Oh, 90?
You know what I mean. Damon, you're a baseball guy. Like a guy that can come in and throw gas in the later innings. That's how the Diamondbacks got to the World Series, baby. Baseball, ever heard of it?
90. Yeah, but it gets us to our Desert Financial Credit Union transaction of the day. For those 675 plus still with us, transaction of the day presented by Desert Financial Credit Union is the Arizona Cardinals signing left tackle Jonah Williams. Comes over from the Cincinnati Bengals, former 11th overall pick, 26 years old, 6'5", 312, a PFF grade. Like many of the signings, I'm not going to blow you away, 58.5. And the contract I think it's 2 for 30. 2 years,
$2 for $30
deal. So that's your
$19 million guaranteed.
$19 million guaranteed.
I mean, I like Robert Hunt. Would you ever have Robert Hunt on the hook for like 5 years, $100 million with how much guaranteed? Or would you rather take a guy that doesn't miss games? 2-year deal. If he sucks, if he's terrible, if he misses time, guess what? You pay him his guaranteed money and you go, bye.
Yeah.
And you move on. Like people are upset about the people that are upset about this. I think they are missing what this team prioritizes, and it's upside and it's games played. And then they are confident in their ability to elevate, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just sit hoping and praying that Rodney Hudson still has the mojo to want to play at post 30 years old, and he's got 2 bad knees and he's stealing from the Cardinals. I'm happy that he got his money. The Cardinals were stupid to pay him that money, but you see what I mean? Whereas you don't think this guy is going to have a chip on his shoulder leaving Cincinnati where everybody's like, you know what, overdrafted. I'm sorry. They're going to have to find a new tackle for the first time in 4 years. They're probably going to be starting a rookie with Joe Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
Cardinals are going to get a guy that's going to be motivated, a la Yelda Froholt last year, that's going to come in, who should be in his peak physical, development at 26 years old, that just says, hey, I'm just here to win a job, to be a good teammate, to protect Kyler Murray. I think it's a great signing. I think it's the best signing that they could have made given the situation with the guards.
Let's hit this super chat here. $2 super chat from Jonathan. Thank you so much. What about Yannick and Ngakoue at the edge? I don't know. Did he have any carryover with JG in Indy, or he was there for a short time?
I'd have to double check. I like that.
He's kind of been a journeyman. He's been all over the place, hasn't he?
Yeah, he was with the Colts and he's bounced around. I think that's the kind of player you go after. I think you get somebody like that on a 1-year flyer and you see if they can come in and help. Like the Cardinals had nothing at pass rush last year, so anything they get is going to be better than that they had. I mean, that final month of the season, the defensive line group, you're just hoping and praying that you could get out of the first half without giving up 4 scores. And then they over
resume there.
Yeah, he had 4 sacks last year and a 39.9 PFF score.
Well, that's not great.
No, 51.4 the year before with 9 sacks for the Colts.
You know what I say? PFF overrated.
But he's been with the Raiders. He's been with the Ravens, right?
Yeah, the Bears and the Colts.
He's been all over the place.
Here are the best available edge rushers. You guys ready?
I like Adonis MF here saying, give me Mike Dana.
Jadeveon Clowney's available.
No, he's not.
He got re-signed in Baltimore?
He's signed with the Panthers.
Oh, sorry. He's not available. Chase Young's still available. He's taking like a free agency tour. Zadarius Smith was with Cleveland. I'm going to tell you right now.
Resign?
I have no idea. I'm just reading the top 100, and I'm trying to go off of memory. DJ Wanham.
Yeah.
Not familiar with
from
him.
the Vikings.
Minnesota. Yeah.
Yeah.
They couldn't
had
sign
8 sacks last year.
Yeah. Shaq Barrett re-signed. Kyle Van Noy, who was with
like
Monty.
He's 32 or 33 years old.
But I think you're looking at somebody like that at some point. I think age is
I don't think
irrelevant.
so.
Okay, bro.
I just don't think that they're going to take away from. They'd rather give those snaps to hopefully Zaven Collins and Victor Dumukagey.
They know though that they need pass rush help.
Right. And I think they'll look to the draft primarily for that.
They should have claimed Derek Barnett last year, but that's a different story. Then it's like Bud Dupree, Marcus Golden, AJ Epinesa.
He's gone, but the two guys are old. The other guys.
Yeah. Cleveland Farrell just got re-signed. Justin Houston's 100 years old.
Young guy. Yeah, it's a young guy's position. Like I know there are guys that hang on and like you'll get into the season.
Dante Fowler going back to the Commanders. Yeah, I mean, yeah, topic 64. Derek Barnett, 27, who's with JG. Did he get re-signed? The Cardinals screwed that up. I guarantee if Austin Ford had a mulligan, Bo doesn't think he screwed it up because Bo was opposed to claiming him. So Derek Barnett was with the Eagles. They released him. He was subject to waivers. The Cardinals passed. Barnett went to Houston, was a part of their playoff team, had a handful of sacks for the Texans last year. Was way better than anything the Cardinals were trotting out. He had 2.5 sacks, not 5. But is he a free agent? Does anybody know if he's a free agent?
It looks like he's still available.
Like, why not? Bring him in. Can we be real for a second? We have seen Victor Dumukagey and Dennis Gardeck. I've seen enough. I know what they are. They're not helping.
I think they like those players. I think they like those players more than you do. I think if you were to just swap out a Barnett for like a Cam Thomas who just isn't a scheme fit, then I think you got something.
I think Gardeck is safe. I think he proved to them last year that he is worth keeping on the roster. And I also think like he's going to play a lot of special teams next year. I think because they're going to add a couple edge rushers. But Dumukagey, man, like he has no juice. I need some juice.
They like what he can do. They like
what's he do though?
He's just versatile.
What does that mean? I can play a bunch of positions. I'm not producing though.
They are going to look for with upgrades on the defensive line. If guys aren't producing off the edge, they'll lose their playing time. But I think they like these guys. I think they like Gardeck. I think they like Victor Dumukagey, the violence he plays with. I think they like Zaven Collins. You know that. But they're not naive to it. You're going to have to produce.
Listen, the best case scenario is BJ Ojulari balling out and Zaven Collins showing something and drafting somebody. That's if everything goes right, that's the scenario. You can't fill every hole every offseason. Like there were going to be some remaining holes that they were going to have to just throw a little spackle on because this rebuild started last offseason. They tore it down. So I think right now, if you're taking a 5,000-foot view, because we know you can take a guard 27, 35 and start them right away and be totally fine. Maybe even get a plus player. It feels like edge rusher right now is the position where it's like, might just have to live with it until check back in May or June and see what it's kind of developed into. They like Jesse Luchetti. He's playing like both ways. He's playing fullback and stuff. Right? I mean,
yeah.
Cardinals in a good spot though. I mean, yeah, this is a team right now. What's the over/under for this team in terms of wins? I'm going to put you on the spot here in mid-March after the first wave of free agency.
I'm going to say the first total that's going to come out is going to be about 6.5.
Really? I would say 7.5. Okay. But you think 6.5?
I mean, it's March. Once you get past April, then it's going to go like that up for our podcast listeners. If you are listening on podcast, make sure you're subscribed to this podcast. Leave a 5-star and a review. It always helps out. Never miss your favorite PHNX shows, like PHNX Suns, D-backs, Yotes, the whole gang, Sun Devils and Wildcats as they're out there at the Pac-12 tournament, especially PHNX Cardinals. Big, huge show. Bittersweet one is say goodbye to DJ Humphries, but then bring in his immediate successor, like minutes later. It's unreal. Arizona Cardinals continue to rework this roster, continue phase 2 of the rebuild, and week 1 of free agency, it's looking pretty good so far.
Like and subscribe. Damon Dog crushing it. The graphics were elite. A lot of moving parts today. We appreciate our production team that does a phenomenal job. Bo Brack on the mic. I'm Johnny Venerable. We're back. Mañana. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.